Greetings chums, hope you're all well. This is DC Wood reviewing comedy horror flick The Slayers. Once upon a time I reviewed a marvellous cult classic called The Mother Town, a zombie film set in Stoke-on-Trent, written, directed and produced by John Williams. Over a year later, John has now released his second feature-length movie, another comedy horror flick that has a different premise altogether. The Slayers focuses on two hopeless individuals called Job and Nigel, members of an insane cult that believes the world will literally end in a fortnight. Seeing this as a final opportunity to do good and live the life they've always wanted, Job and Nigel decide to buy a minibus called Boris and go on a road trip before the comet hits the planet. As the pair truly live for the first time ever, their road trip soon takes an unexpected turn when they come across a few vampires. As you do. The main cast of characters are as follows. There's Job, Matthew Sandland, and Nigel, Darren McCarry, the main protagonists who, again, leave their cult, choosing to spend their remaining fortnight doing good and living the life throughout Great Britain. There's also The Ointment, Dan Smith, and Max, Marnix van de Kraan, a pair of vampire slayers who insist on working alone. There's Jess, Sophie Elsby, and Sarah, Kate Thompson, best friends and holidaymakers who meet Job and Nigel on their travels, and sadly also get caught up in the same vampire threat as they do. And finally there's Reg, George Newton, a veteran slayer who also happens to be a vampire's worst nightmare. He likes collecting the teeth of his victims and decorating his hat with them. The cast features dozens more, but these are the principal characters. Honourable mentions must also go to the likes of Eddie Hull, Britain's strongest man, who makes a brilliant cameo appearance, former Big Brother winner and comedian Pete Bennett, who appeared as the unforgettable TV reporter Keith Smith in The Mother Town, is also here as a vampire, credited as Vampire 1, in another terrific appearance. The ever-versatile John Williams performs as a variety of different characters throughout the film. And finally we have Chris Lines as the head vampire and chief antagonist. They also, all of these guys turn out have truly memorable moments throughout the film. The film itself, as I've said in previous reviews, previous videos, I love the independent film industry. There's a well of quality material out there just waiting to be seen, like, as I've mentioned before, Rotten Apple, Chess Game, Mortal Kombat, Fate's Beginning, the stuff from Blinky Productions and Bat in the Sun, and of course, The Mother Town. The Mother Town was an ambitious, courageous, do-it-yourself extravaganza which scored many high points for its enthusiastic cast, a zombie apocalypse set in Stoke, the sheer community spirits involved, the plentiful supply of laughs and scares, and all the money it raised for local causes. The only real criticisms I had for The Mother Town were its length and one major technical issue with the audio, but on the whole this 4-star cult classic was ace, and I was most keen to check out John's next feature-length endeavour. The end result is superior to The Mother Town in every single way. To start with the pros, there are so many, there really are. The Mother Town was done on a budget of £500, which made it all the more of an impressive achievement. For The Slayers, Williams raised a budget of approximately 15 grand, and right from the word go, it shows how much Williams wanted to do something that's bigger, badder and better, and it also shows just how well he spent this money. The Slayers was filmed in beautiful high definition, and the mastering on the overall audio is of a very high standard. The picture and sound quality for this production is so clean and crisp, it's gorgeous. The presentation is further enhanced with amazing opening credits and brilliant animated sequences throughout, ranging from Job and Nigel's travels on their minibus Boris on a map of their route to walking through countryside and encountering vampires along the way. It's all absolutely brilliant, and it just continues to impress all the more. The vampire makeup and prosthetics are hugely convincing, as are the special effects. To call The Slayers an amateur production I think would be very incorrect. The presentation and production values are much more of a professional standard than anything, and that's further justified with the amazing soundtrack. Tom J. Bath and Kate Thompson have put together an excellent score for the film, and all the songs done for the soundtrack, especially Kate Thompson's The Slayers theme, As She Rides by Sherry Counsellors, and 99 Things to Do Before You Die by Wolf Bites Boy. They're all so utterly memorable. And when The Slayers gets released on DVD, I'm hoping a soundtrack release will accompany it, because frankly, it merits for treatment. It really, really does. Writing, directing, producing, John Williams demonstrated a high level of mastery with his work on The Mother Town, and he does the same with The Slayers. All the production values and presentation are matched by yet another sharp script and awe-inspiring locations. The dialogue is excellent, and the film certainly knows how to press all the right buttons. There are so many hilarious lines like, we'll be back in time for Armageddon and tea and biscuits with Jesus, and other brilliant ideas like, why has no one come up with holy water balloons before? What an absolutely hilarious idea. There's so much things in this film that made me laugh out loud. It's just absolutely brilliant. And as well as all that, John demonstrates his versatility with the story and the characters. The Slayers format is different than the Mother Towns. Instead of focusing on numerous groups and bringing them together for a big finale, The Slayers is very much led by the main characters, Job and Nigel. The story and characters all develop comfortably and naturally, with numerous plot twists and a climax that wraps up everything most satisfactorily. This has a tighter story structure than the Mother Town, and a much more comfortable running time as well at 1 hour 40 minutes. The pacing and continuity are greatly improved, and this all demonstrates how much John Williams has grown as a writer and a movie maker. As with the Mother Town, there are legitimately terrifying moments in The Slayers that will scare you good and proper. There's tense situations, confrontations with the vampire threats that are cleverly done and so psychological. The convincing special effects, prosthetics provide some deliciously gory visuals and further impress in the various action death sequences. This level of horror contrasts just fine with the comedy on offer, making The Slayers a well-balanced production. The acting overall is great. There were so many volunteers involved who, again, are clearly having fun and show genuine enthusiasm in this production, which makes the whole experience down to earth and accessible for viewers. But those cast members who starred in The Mother Town and return here for The Slayers, they all show how much they've grown as actors, how confident they are in their mannerisms, body languages, quirks, and the conviction they deliver in their lines. Everybody makes their characters their own here, and everyone truly impresses. There's no duds here at all. The main leads, Matthew Sandland and Darren Macquarie, who play Job and Nigel respectively, they're a great double act who not only do an ace job in portraying this pair of socially awkward, hapless, inept, yet kind-hearted weirdos, they also do a commendable job of carrying the film's story. Their banter, their characters, the situations they find themselves in. Matthew and Darren really earn their keep here. Another terrific double act is Dan Smith and my good buddy Max van der Kraan as The Ointment, who, for the lack of a better term, are a bunch of hilarious badasses. From holy water balloons to eating sandwiches and polos to tapping on coffin lids to see if anyone's home. Both Dan and Max are simply scene stealers. We've got such swagger and presence to them, and are really just so cool and funny, and they're just ace, absolutely ace. Kate Thompson, who plays Sarah, and Sophie Elsby, who plays Jess, deserve praise for delivering very human performances. In the interactions with Job and Nigel and the horror sequences, Kate and Sophie tug at the heartstrings. You feel for their characters and their fates, and as the plot thickens, Sophie turns her her fear into courage in what's a very natural, plausible transition. It's terrific acting from her and from Kate as well when her character undergoes a similar development. My absolute favourite performance, though, is definitely that of George Newton as Reg. He's a seasoned, no-nonsense, grizzled veteran that's such a badass character, one that comes off so convincingly thanks to George's performance. Reg is the real hero here, which is further justified with fight scenes and mind games he plays with the vampires and the head vampire himself, Chris Lyons, who's as perfect an antagonist as you could ask for. His dialogue, his performance, his malevolence and sinister nature, it all comes across perfectly. And I have to give out another shout out to Anthony Miles' brother Steve. The film opens with his speech to the rest of the cult, and it's delivered so clearly and with conviction that you can't not be impressed. He really does help kick the film into a high gear right from the off. It's brilliant. And again, as I've said, everyone performs brilliantly in The Slayers. There are no duds, but these people I've just mentioned were my favourites of the lot. And finally, the cinematography. The Mother Town featured several stunning shots of Stoke-on-Trent. The Slayers proudly boasts breathtaking footage of the Lake District of Scotland. I love the lakes, I love the Highlands, and all the wide-angle shots and aerial views truly do those locations justice. It's the icing on the cake, especially when Boris travels along all those scenic routes. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. With any cons? Are there any cons? It's difficult, really, because there's so much stuff to praise the Slayers for that I frankly struggle to find stuff to even nitpick. Being impartial, there's not all the humour works, truth be told. Some of the gags do fall flat and become a bit repetitive, but these instances are very few and far between. On the whole, it's just a staggering good film that never feels disjointed or loses any of its momentum or pacing. It's just a terrific film. It really is. My overall conclusion is that The Mother Town was John Williams' first major go at a feature-length film. The end result of that was an amazing achievement that, although rough around the edges, had bags of charm and potential to it, which ultimately made it a cult hit. The Slayers is the ultimate progression of that experiment. John Williams has taken everything he learnt previously and produced something that's virtually faultless. For comedy horror fans, I think you'll be just as impressed as I am. It's highly recommended to all comedy horror fans, to all cultists, and to be honest, I think it's worthy enough to be showcased in the mainstream as well. I reckon it's a tremendous effort from all the cast and crew here, and no hesitation, 5 stars easily. The Slayers has been screened in various venues in Hanley and is currently being prepared for other showings around the country. For more information and other news, visit the Slayers Facebook page on the link below, and be sure to check out the official website at www.theslayersmovie.com. Thanks for listening, everyone. I'll be back again soon with my review of Dan Weatherer's short story collection, Neverlight. This is DC Wood wishing you all the best. Ta-ra!